I'm just wrapping up my mid-20s and I've started thinking a lot more about laying roots and having foundation, and I thought to myself, if I'm not having much time left in my 20s with freedom, why don't I have a year of just being really selfish? Now, selfish feels a little bit too on the nose, so I managed to reroute that more so. What would make my childhood self really happy and proud if I could do that this year? I would always think, when I'm an adult, I have freedom, I have money, I would love to do these things, and I've completely forgotten about them. Now adult life has kind of happened, so this year is going to be all about fulfilling some of those little fantasies. That's why I'm sat here recording this video, because I thought if I could inspire one person to even add just one little goal that's just going to be purely selfish and bring them a lot of joy, I think that's a really beautiful thing, as I've had such career focused goals, life stones for your mid-20s and early 20s, the past 6 years I've been doing this, and I've never had a year where I've really just focused on pure joy. Don't get me wrong, I am going to have some adult goals thrown in here somewhere because I want to keep on track and making good progress in my life, but those ones are being pushed kind of to the side, just at the top of the list, and then all the other ones are going to be bucket list things. I normally sit and I plan these videos, so why not just do something completely off the wall and actually figure it out together, because I have 101 thoughts. It would be nice to be vulnerable together and sit and hang out and do it, because I have lots of ideas and I can walk you through the process of what I've been doing, making these vision boards and goal boards. Without further ado, I can't. Okay, I'm just gonna cut it there. I believe step one is going to be making a total brain dump. Now, for anyone who's new to this channel and has only just stumbled across this video, hello first and foremost, but I am a massive journaler. My journal is over here, but as this is going to be a huge brain dump, I, for once, am getting a massive scrap of paper and pen and writing down everything that's on my mind. So I've just written down a quick brain dump of things. Most of these won't be finalised. I'm so okay with that, and I'm also not going to sit here and explain why half of these are on these lists in no particular order. I've had this fantasy of staying in a hotel where I get to stay overnight and I have a really long shower, have my hair up in a towel in a robe, and I order room service and I sleep in and I go get a hotel breakfast, and I've never experienced that. It's on the very top of my list that my childhood self would love to do. Was obsessed with Australia growing up, and I had an encyclopedia and loved everything about it. So snorkeling the Great Barrier Reef is on there, going and seeing the outback, seeing a platypus in the wild. Platypus are my favourite animals ever, and I still haven't ever seen one. Big one was to live in my own flat, have my own space, like have a girl apartment and have my girlfriends come over and host and giggle and do sleepovers. That's always been a huge goal of mine, to have a place of my own. I would like to do, and realistically maybe only one would happen, if not any at all, but that is going to Papua New Guinea, Madagascar or Hawaii, and I would love to make one of those happen. Make little Isabel so happy. A lot of these I've already been thinking about for a few days, but I have done some journal prompts to try and tease these out, so I'm going to put them up on the screen here. These really help me reflect and think back onto stuff that I would have thought about as a child that I really wouldn't have remembered now. I'd advise, if you're really wanting to get invested into this idea, I'm actually going to take each point and make a tangible, measurable goal for each. So whether that is an activity I need to complete, a certain way to measure whether I've hit some kind of goal through a metric to measure it, I need to have some kind of way that I know how I'm going to achieve it and how I know that I will have achieved that goal. So that's what we're going to do with all of these ideas, and then we'll carry on refining from there as to what would be realistic to expect of myself in a year. So I've gone through and refined some of the goals and highlighted them, or highlighted the original thing I've written if it actually is fairly tangible. I won't go through all of these for the sake of time, but for example here, I've done things where I said see Outback Australia into visit Uluru, so that way I actually have a way to gauge or a specific place in mind for me to go. Sign my own lease on a private flat for live on my own goal. There's still one or two ways I want to refine some of those, but the one thing I'm now going to do from that scrap piece of paper is translate it into my journal. If you've not seen this before, if you're new here, I built myself one of those Louise Carmen inspired. Louise Carmen. Now I already have a rough idea in mind about what my year's structure is going to look like in terms of where I'm going to be, and what I'm doing. So I have a pretty good idea of when I'm going to achieve certain goals or might have windows of opportunities to do certain things. Before you decide which one to finalize through, I would recommend thinking about what your actual year is going to look like, especially if you have travel plans or obligations of events you have to go to. Go through and have a realistic think about whether something is tangible. One of the ways that also lessens the pressure when I set these goals is I set 3 primary goals for the year, and the rest of them are kind of like nice to have. 3 ones I would love to achieve with the year the most are the ones that I have the most control over, or they're not dictated by external factors or events. Definitely to hit 15k by the end of the year, that would be amazing. Signing my own lease on a flat is something I tangibly should be able to do. The third one that I want to pick is because this whole theming around whimsy is there, I'm going to pick one of the less adult tasks and go for staying overnight in a 4/5-star hotel, because I know I have the opportunity to do a layover somewhere where I'll be able to do that this year. So with those 3 in mind, I'm going to write them at the top of my list in my new journal. We're going to select the ones that complement those the most and write them underneath. Now we get to do one of my favourite things, which is scrolling Pinterest. I have made a little bit of a head start. I spent about a week just pinning things that were coming up on my feed that I thought were slightly relevant to my board. We can go through together, start refining some of those things that I've pinned that align with my goals or the vibe for the year. Let's hop and open Pinterest quickly. I am very excited to be doing this. So I've actually spent the past week or so pinning random images that I've found nice. This hasn't really been for any specific goals. I've just kind of pinned things that have been the vibe of the year that I'm looking to have. So I think the best method we could do, considering there's already 107 pins on here, is to correlate the ones that already match my goals in here, and then I'm going to use this to see which goals I don't have images for that we can refine and put into this board. I can already see I went on a bit of a scrolling spree here. When I've been pinning these, I genuinely have just pinned it for the vibes and energy. I didn't specifically think about goals in mind. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make when they start planning out their goals is not looking at all the stuff they've actually achieved this year that have been influential on their lives. As I'm going through this, there's a lot of wellness and woo-woo imagery that I am going to pin onto my board, because those are habits that I really want to continue doing this year. I do want there to be a kind of core and underlying theme of sustaining my wellness, interests and hobbies as we go through this year too. So striking a balance of the life you enjoy living and the life you want to lead are 2 things on a vision board, and I think people get too bogged down in that final image of the end goal and not also reflecting and seeing what's working internally for them. I love my incense and bars, so we can put that on. A lovely little kangaroo picture. We know how much I love Australia. Not giving any spoilers away for a while, guys, but I do have news regarding that. I've tried to pin little moments of joy also onto here. That's something I've been really focusing on the past few months. I've always wanted a stack of mini Polaroids in my future home, so that's kind of to do with that. And it's funny because most people would put an image of keys or something on that Pinterest board, but I'm more thinking of things I want to add to a home. Island hopping absolutely can go on there too. I'm actually really liking the way this has come out so far. I think I'm missing a lot of images here to do specifically with the goals I've written, so let's go through and see which ones I've actually ticked off. I haven't got anything for the milestone I'd like to hit on YouTube. That could definitely be a written text goal that we can add on to the board. And let's see what I've pinned on my home board. Now, fun fact, my degree is actually in interior architecture, so I am a massive nerd for interiors, hence why I probably really want to have my own space at 26. I guess the one thing I've never had, I've always had a bedroom, is a living room, so actually let's choose one from the living space category. I would really love a place with wooden floorboards, that would be the dream. Considering my eye was drawn to this one, let's put this on for now. Oh, you know what guys, we're gonna add the moon onto here too. One of the things I started doing towards the end of this year is tracking the moon cycle. I've just about finished up. There are 24 pins on here, but I realise these can change and ebb and flow, but I'm really happy with what I've kind of pinned. So the next step in this process is another free piece of software we can use called Canva. So we're going to go ahead and make something that will actually fit onto an A4 piece of paper. Now I know I've talked a lot about whimsical goals and childhood, but obviously I'm still like growing and I'm a young woman, so this still all looks really adult, but I know that in here I'm doing a lot of things that are fulfilling my inner child. I like to always think that these vision boards or mood boards that people create kind of encapsulate the feeling and the overall look of the year. For me, it's the life I want to be leading. I would love to look like this and have achieved this year. I think that pretty much wraps up what I'm doing. I will end this video with a shot of what this overall looks like. So if you've enjoyed this, I would love to hear about what childhood joy you would love to fulfill this year, or whether you agree with this kind of approach to setting goals, if you're looking to do something a bit different for 26. I know my videos have been a lot more reflective and a bit different to my usual vlogging style, but that will be changing later on this year. I'm just very busy working at the moment and I don't make loads of money from doing this. It's purely just a joy and a goal and a hobby that I have. If you enjoy this kind of reflective, whimsical self-care vibe, I would really appreciate you being able to support me through subscribing or liking, or even just leaving a comment of a goal you would love to achieve. It all really helps me reach more people and hopefully share more joy with the world, which is my only ever intention with this channel. Thanks for watching. You'll catch me next Sunday morning and I'll see you then. Happy New Year. Bye.